Okay, you want to own an apartment building. Here's the pitch you've probably heard. Buy a building. Get rent every month. Your tenants basically pay off your loan for you. Over time, the building goes up in value. Sounds easy, right? That's the problem. It sounds easy, so people don't do the math carefully enough. Owning apartments is a real business, and it can make you money. But it's not free money. Taxes, insurance, repairs, and your loan payment can eat up a lot more than people expect. Let's go through the real numbers. First, how much does it cost to get a building? If you build one from scratch, it usually costs somewhere between $200,000 and $400,000 per apartment. So a 100-unit building could cost you $20 million to $50 million just to build. Most people don't build, though. They buy a building that's already finished and already has tenants in it. When you buy an existing building, the price is based on something called a cap rate. This just means how much money the building makes each year, divided by the price you pay. Right now, in 2026, most apartment buildings sell around a 5.6% to 5.7% cap rate. In big expensive cities like New York or LA, that number drops to around 4% to 5% because people pay more for safer, well-known areas. In smaller cities, you can find buildings around 7% to 7.5%, which is cheaper, but usually comes with more risk. Here's an easy way to see how much that matters. Say a building makes $700,000 a year. At a 5.7% cap rate, that building costs about $12.3 million. At a 7.5% cap rate, the exact same building costs about $9.3 million. Same income, $3 million difference, just because of where it is. Now, you're not paying all cash. Most people get a loan. Right now, banks usually only lend 70% to 80% of the price. So on a $12 million building, you need $2.4 million to $3.6 million of your own money before you even own it. Okay, you bought the building. Now the real work starts, because the bills never stop. The biggest cost every year is usually property tax. And here's the annoying part. Taxes often go up right after you buy the building, because the tax office uses your new purchase price to set your new tax bill. Next is insurance, and this one has gotten really painful. Insurance prices have gone up about 119% in the last 4 years. That's more than double. In places near the coast or in storm risk areas, insurance can be one of your biggest costs, right up there with your loan payment. Then there's repairs and maintenance. A good rule is to save about 2% of the building's value every single year, just for fixing things: roofs, pipes, appliances, paint. Repair costs alone have gone up more than 28% since 2021 because materials and workers both got more expensive. You'll also need a property manager, unless you want to fix toilets yourself at midnight. Management usually costs $2,400 to $6,000 per apartment per year. Add all of this up: taxes, insurance, repairs, management, and most buildings spend about 40% of their total rent money just on these expenses. On a 100-unit building, that's often over $800,000 a year before you even pay your loan. So how do you actually make money? Let's use our 100-unit building. Say rent is $1,800 a month per apartment. If every single unit is full, that's $2.16 million a year. But buildings are never 100% full all year. A normal vacancy rate is around 5% to 10%. Let's say 7%. That drops your income to about $2 million a year. Now take away that 40% for expenses. That leaves you with about $1.2 million a year. This number is called net operating income, or NOI. This is the most important number in the whole business because it decides how much your building is worth, and it's the money that has to pay your loan. Let's say your loan payment is $900,000 a year. That leaves you with $300,000 a year in real profit, after you paid $3 million or more of your own money to buy the building. That's a decent return. Nothing crazy, but solid. But here's the danger. What happens if insurance jumps another 20%? What if vacancy climbs from 7% to 15%? What if your interest rate goes up when you refinance? Your $1.2 million NOI could easily drop to $900,000. And remember, your loan payment doesn't drop with it. So your $300,000 in profit could shrink to almost nothing, or even go negative, even though the building looks exactly the same from the outside. That's the real risk in this business. Your income can go up and down. Your loan payment doesn't move. Let's look at how this actually goes wrong for real people. In 2021, during the boom, someone buys a 150-unit building at a very low 4% cap rate, hoping rents will keep rising fast. They use a loan with a rate that moves, not a fixed rate, because it was cheaper at the time. Then things change. Renovation costs go up. Rent growth slows down because a bunch of new buildings open up nearby. And interest rates rise a lot, so their loan payment jumps higher too. The building is still full. People are still paying rent. But the NOI can no longer cover the higher loan payment. Now the owner has three bad choices. Ask investors for more money, sell the building at a big loss, or give the building back to the bank. This exact pattern, cheap risky loans, rents that grow slower than expected, and interest rates rising, is what hurt a lot of apartment owners between 2023 and 2024. There are also smaller, quieter problems that slowly eat your profit. If you skip small repairs to save money now, they turn into much bigger, more expensive repairs later. Every time a tenant moves out, you lose money on cleaning, painting, and lost rent while it's empty. And insurance and taxes are two costs you basically can't control. They can go up no matter how well you run the building. Big companies, like large real estate investment firms, have advantages that regular people don't. They can get cheaper insurance because they own thousands of units. They can get better loan rates. And if one building has a bad year, it doesn't hurt them much because they own hundreds of others. A regular person buying one or two buildings doesn't have that safety net. Let's compare a good year and a bad year for our 100-unit building. Good case. Rents grow steadily, vacancy stays low, insurance and taxes only rise a little, and you locked in a fixed loan rate early. Your profit grows from $300,000 a year toward $500,000 a year over time, and the building becomes worth more too. Bad case. Insurance jumps 30%, taxes go up after the sale, vacancy rises to 12%, and your loan rate resets higher. Your profit can drop from $300,000 down to almost zero, even though the building is completely full and running normally. Same building, same 100 apartments. The only difference is financing and timing. Here's one more thing that surprises a lot of owners. Most apartment loans aren't like a 30-year home loan. They usually come due in 5, 7, or 10 years. When that day comes, you have to refinance the whole loan, no matter what interest rates look like at that moment. If rates are much higher than when you bought, your new loan payment could be way bigger, even if nothing about the building changed. So what actually separates the winners from the people who lose money in this business? Buying at a fair price instead of hoping rents magically go up. Locking in a fixed interest rate whenever possible. Actually saving money for repairs every year instead of skipping it. And being honest with yourself about how much insurance and taxes might rise. So, is owning an apartment building a good business? If you buy carefully, use a safe loan, and actually save money for repairs, this can be one of the most reliable ways to build wealth, because people will always need a place to live. But it's not free money. It's not something you can ignore. Your loan payment stays the same every single month, whether the market is good or bad. And a few normal cost increases, insurance, taxes, empty units, hitting you at the same time can turn a good building into a money-losing one almost overnight. The building doesn't make you rich by itself. Surviving the ups and downs is what actually does. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you want me to break down next.